Hello, this is the informational chat entitled Open and Closed Adoption. I'm Dr. Berger, psychologist and founder and director of a not-for-profit and fully licensed adoption agency that has helped pregnant women, birth mothers, fathers, and adopting families for over 40 years. We have helped in both open and closed adoptions and have completed over 900. I have found that many birth parents and adopting families are not clear on what an open versus a closed adoption is all about. This is due in part to the different way each adoption agency or attorney or other uses these words. All too often, adopting families and birth parents limit the type of adoption they want without really understanding the differences between an open adoption and a closed adoption. Whether an adoption is open or closed will depend on what the birth mother and father request, what the adopting family requests, what your state allows, and what adoption agency you select. A very simplified explanation is that an open adoption takes place when the records, including identifying information like names, addresses, and phone numbers about the birth mother, birth father, and adopting family are open, and this information is available to all the parties involved to see. In this kind of adoption, that is an open adoption, the birth mother, birth father, and adopting parents get each other's identifying information and are then able, if they so choose, to be in direct contact with one another. The degree of openness varies widely from no contact at all to occasional letters or phone calls, providing pictures and updates on an ongoing basis, to actual physical meetings and sharing of birthdays and holidays. On the other hand, to talk about closed adoptions, in a closed adoption, the records are not open for all parties to see, and thus the birth parents and adopting family do not have each other's identifying information. While many details may still be shared, including things like first names and email addresses, no identifying information, such as last name, address, social security numbers, and phone numbers, is exchanged. All parties involved can still have no contact or a lot of contact, but any contact they have will not be directly with each other, but everything will go through the agency that they are working with. Let me emphasize that the issues of contact with each other, pictures, updates, and even meetings do not specifically determine whether an adoption is open or closed. You could have an open adoption where all the identifying information is shared, but the birth parents and adopting families infrequently or even never communicate with each other. Or, on the other hand, you could have a closed adoption where non-identifying information, pictures, and updates, and even meetings are arranged, but they go through the agency or attorney involved. Simply, if identifying information is shared, it is an open adoption, and if it is not shared, it's a closed adoption. Historically, in the United States, a closed adoption and the sealing of adoption records was by far the most common type of adoption. Sealing of records effectively prevented the adoptee and natural parents from identifying each other. At one time, almost all agency adoptions were closed, and if the birth parent or family wanted an open adoption, they would need to contact a private attorney. This began to change about 15 to 20 years ago and is no longer the case. Nowadays, the birth mother, the birth father, adopting family can and often do request a closed adoption or an open adoption or something in between, as well as some combination of pictures, updates, meetings. Some adoption agencies have their own fixed way of proceeding, so that it is very important that you find an agency that will do what you want. Accordingly, make sure to decide what kind of adoption you, as the birth parent or adopting family, want. Then you need to find an adoption agency, such as ours, that is very flexible and who will match you based on your request and not on what is most convenient for the agency. Note that in some states, open adoptions or closed adoptions are restricted by law, and many agencies have their own way of dealing with an open or closed adoption. Accordingly, whether an adoption is open or closed should depend on what you want and on what your state allows. Recognize that no one level of openness in a child adoption is best for everyone. There is no single answer for everyone and no clear answer as to whether an open or closed adoption is best. Make sure your adoption agency understands what you want and are comfortable and that you are comfortable with, and then stick with what you want. As our agency does, the agency you work with should be flexible and bend to your needs rather than you bending to what the agency wants you to do. If you want more information about different kinds of adoption, please look for our informational chat titled The Different Kinds of Adoption. I hope the above has been helpful. If you want more information about this or other adoption issues, you're always welcome to contact me or my staff at the number and/or website address shown in the description of this video. My best wishes to you and those you love.